get going and wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Jackie. It was a far walk, right, from the classroom to the sanctuary.
Exactly.
That's right. But Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're glad that you're here, and thankful for the continuation of Shabbat together. And look forward to singing with you and being with you and seeing you or seeing your names. All good to have you with us for Shabbat, and we will get started as we give thanks for our spaces, right? When we sing Matovu, right, we give thanks for our space, for our right, it is how fair are your tents, O Jacob. And I always think, during these months that we are in our equivalent of our tents, which are also our fortified buildings and our classrooms and our sanctuaries and our everythings, right? That these are our temporary spaces for now, and how thankful I am that we have them, and that we can both be in them safely and securely and well, and also be together while we are in them. So let's start as we pray together. I'm going to mute everybody. Cantor, let me just hold on one second. I'm going to mute everybody, and then we'll have an opportunity to be unmuted at the end of services as well.
So now we join together in Matovu. Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkelatecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkelatecha Yisrael, Vani berach hasdecha, havo v'techa, eshtahavel ha'kodshecha, be'iratecha, matovu, matovu, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkelatecha Yisrael, Adonai ahavti, me'al beidecha, u'mekol mishkan kevadecha, v'ani eshtahaveh v'echra, evrecha lifnei Adonai, nosim, matovu, matovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkelatecha Yisrael, v'ani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon, Elohim merach hasdecha, Elohim merach hasdecha, Haneni be'emet ishecha, matovu, matovu, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkelatecha Yisrael, Mishkelatecha Yisrael.
Let's join together, and I'll invite you to please, any of the slides any of the prayers that I'm reading, please also read aloud, at your own pace, either out loud or in your hearts, as we continue to pray together. And we say, praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Let me say together, Baruch Atah Adonai Rofecho Basar Umafli La'asot. We praise you, Holy One, for wondrous acts of creation and healing.
Please join us with Elohai Neshama. Elohai, Elohai Neshama. Shilotatavi Be'orati. Elohai, Elohai Neshama. Shilotatavi Be'orati. Taverata, Tayitzarata, Atanefakta bi, Beata Meshamera, Meshamera Bekirevi. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama. Shilotatavi Be'orati.
Continue with Psalm 150. We praise, we give thanks. We had this burst of summer this past week that reminds us of water and joy, but so too have we had this burst of crispness and cool air that reminds us to breathe deep and to offer our praise. Join us, please, as we continue with the singing of Psalm 150. Praised are you, sovereign of wonders, crowned in adoration, delighted in song, eternal majesty.
Yitkada v'yitkada shmei rabba, b'amadi v'rachirote v'yamlich machote, b'chayechonu v'yamechon, u'chayedecha b'et Yisrael, ba'agala, ba'agala, u'bizman kari v'imeru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach, L'chol amolal me'almaya yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitrama v'yitnase, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitale al shmei kodesha brichu. Dela min ko birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imeru. Amen.
Let's continue together as we invite you in body or in spirit to rise for our call to worship.
Baruch hu Adonai hamevarach, Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed.
Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir v'nischechu lanu mehera le'oro. May you shine a new light on Zion, and may we soon be privileged to share in that light. Baruch Ata Adonai Yotzer Hamerot. Bring us in peace from the four corners of the earth. Lead us with upright pride to the land that is ours, for you are our God of miracles and wonders. From all the peoples of the earth, you sought us out and brought us near to your great enduring truth. So with love, we acknowledge and proclaim that you are one. Baruch Atah Adonai Habocher Be'amo Yisrael Be'ahava. Our praise to you, Adonai. You have singled out your people Israel with love.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
And please be seated.
Together. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושינתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשבך קומך וקשרתם להות ידיך והיו רדפות בין עיניך וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך בשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and we rejoice.
Thanks, Rochelle. You have your maracas. I can hear them here on my end.
We used to have dueling banjos, and now we have dueling maracas. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's bring your instruments, bring your vocal instruments, bring your spirit, bring your energy to song and to prayer. Let us continue as we turn to the Amidah, to the Tefillah, as we say Tzur Yisrael Kuma Bezra Yisrael Fadechenu Mecha Yehuda Yisrael Golenu Adonai Tzebaot Shemo Kadosh Yisrael. Baruch Atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Blessed are you in our lives, Eternal One, who redeemed Israel. We say, pray as if everything depends on God, but act as if everything depended on you. And so too, we do this by inviting you to rise as we turn our hearts, we turn our words to prayer for the tefillah. We ask you please in body or in spirit to rise.
Adonai sefet yiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imateinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Gibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Koneh Hakol, Bezocher Chasdei Avot v'Imachot, מביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך חסר ומשיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל הטרוף להושיע. משיב לרוח ומוריד חג השם, מחוקל חיים בחסד. מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חונים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצליח ישוע. ונאמן לעיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. Please sing with me. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותה בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדונינו מאדיר, שמך בארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד אלוהינו, אבינו מלכנו, ומשיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד לך, ולנצח נצחים גירושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא יבוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
And please be seated. We continue now as we sing and we celebrate the joy of Shabbat. We invite you please to join us in the singing of V'Shamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת 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 באים שבת ויהי נפש שבת שבת ויהי נפש Shabbat, Shabbat,
We sing, we know that the people of Israel shall keep the Shabbat and that the Shabbat keeps us. And we say, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Machazir Shechinato L'Tzion. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose presence returns to Zion. And we offer our thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulachana Elohodot. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. And we continue with our prayers, our aspirations, our deep hopes for peace.
Please join me as we sing Sim Shalom. And my choir, right? You know what to do for Sim Shalom. Sim Shalom, Tova Ubracha, Ein Vahesed Verachamim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'al Kol Yisrael Amecha, Barchenu Yisrael Kulanu Kechad, Mehar Panecha, Ki Har Panecha Natan Lanu, Adonai Eloheinu.
Sim Shalom.
Sim Shalom, Tova Ubracha, Ein Vahesed Verachamim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'al Kol Yisrael Amecha, Torat Chaim Ve'ahavat Chesed, Ve'ahavat Chesed, U'tzedak Ubracha Ve'rachamim, V'chaim V'shalom.
Sim Shalom.
Sim Shalom, Tova Ubracha, Ein Vahesed Verachamim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'al Kol Yisrael Amecha, V'tov b'necha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, b'chol let u'b'chol shah, b'shlomecha.
Sim Shalom.
Sim Shalom, Tova Ubracha, Ein Vahesed Verachamim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'al Kol Yisrael Amecha. Well, thank you for your voices. Good to hear your voices.
We ask that God grant us peace, the most precious of gifts, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. And we take a moment now and some deep breaths and some quiet and some prayer and some reflection as we pray in silence. We'll turn our prayers and our hearts towards those who need healing, those who need wholeness and strength and courage and kindness of care. As we say, Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech et Acholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and strengthen those who are ill and those who are struggling. This morning, we are holding in our prayers Mark Friedman, Elizabeth Friedman, Shana Esther Bat Rochel, Chris Sora, Joel Shemaskin, Chayanecha Bat Riva Leah, Simon Brightman, Barbara Bayer, Katriel Parachia Ben Herschel Laser Vishoshana, Sally Graff, Sarah Bat Abraham Visara, William Fawcett Jr., Alan Skirker, Chaim Ben Saradina Yehoshua, Laura Braun, Shulamit Buzo, Raymond Condon, Susan Silton Tobias, Pamela Labatt Blackwell, Sandra Villa, Barbara DeCario, Eric Weiner, Marie Eichner, Kim Stanger Delisle, Grace Hughes, Jack Hughes, Yafa Sarah Bat Miriam Utzvi Hirsch, Tootie Driscoll, Ralph Bookbinder, Leona Johnson, Eileen Kaplan, Patrick Doherty, Miriam Butt Ella, Randy Weiss, and Eli Waxler-Felder. I'll ask you also, in addition to Bev Gold, thank you for sharing that name. Please to take a moment. Shelley, you had mentioned somebody this morning, 2 people this morning in Torso. I'll invite you please to unmute yourself just for a moment. Share any names that are in your hearts. Anybody who is to be included in our prayers for healing and wholeness and strength.
Marsha Blank and Rini Gold.
Howard Itkin and Bev Gold.
Let's hold all of those in our hearts together with all those who don't have someone to say a prayer for them, but who are most assuredly struggling, and those who are touched in every corner of this country and really of this world right now, who are struggling as numbers rise. And let's keep in our prayers those who are ministering to, those who are caring for those who are struggling right now, and those who are in the hospital and in care facilities, those who are in residential facilities, our school workers, our administrators, those who work in the grocery store, those, right, whose health is so important and who put themselves at risk, all of our first responders. Let's hold all of them in our prayers. As we say, may the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a renewal of body and of spirit as we join together in saying, Amen.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekorecha May the source of strength to bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu lezosinit machling bedrefot shalema renewal of body, renewal of spirit, let us say Amen. Shabbat Shalom. I'm honored today to lead the Torah discussion. I will share the screen in a moment. Well, today Torah portion is Hayei Sarah. So I will ask somebody to read this summary of Hayei Sarah. So just so people know what it's about. Could somebody read the translation? Can you see it, this screen share? Okay. Sorry, it's a little bit crooked, but you can still read it. Shelley, would you like to read? You're first on my screen after the rabbi, so.
While Chaya Sarah may be translated as Sarah's lifetime, this Torah portion actually tells us about Sarah's death. Abraham sinks to purchase the cave of Machpelah in Hebron for her burial. Ephron, the son of Zohar, owns the land, and Abraham bargains with him for the purchase. After the burial, Abraham sends a trusted servant back to his native land to find a wife for Isaac. The servant chooses Rebekah and returns with her to the land of Israel, where Isaac takes her for his wife.
Thank you.
Yes, that's all I have.
I'm going to chant a little bit of the Hebrew, but before I do that, let's all unmute and chant the brachot together. I know it's not going to be together, but at least we can hear each other and feel that we are there. So ready? Baruch Adonai
Haborah, Baruch Adonai Haborach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Asher banu
ha'olam v'natanu et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Well, thank you. Let's mute back. ויהי חיי שרה 100 שנה ו20 שנה ו7 שנים שני חיי שרה ותמת שרה בקריית ארבע היא חברון בארץ כנען ויבוא אברהם לספור לשרה ולבכותה ויקם אברהם מהבני מתו, וידבר אל בני חת לאמור, גר ותושב אנוכי עמכם, תנו לי אחוזת קבר עמכם, ואגברה מתים מלפניי. וינום בני חת את אברהם לאמור לו, Shema'enu Adonai נשיא אלוהים אתה בתוכנו, במבחר קברנו כקבור, את מתיך איש ממנו. Okay, just gonna move a little bit. איש ממנו את קברו, לא יכלו ממך מקבור מתיך. ויקם אברהם, וישתחו לעם הארץ לבני חת, וידבר איתם לאמור, אם יש את נפשכם לקבור את מתי מלפני, שמעוני ופיגולים בעפרון בן צוהר, וייתן לי את מערת המכפלה אשר לו, אשר בקצה שדהו, בכסף מלא ייתנה לי, בתוככם לאחוזת קבר. Okay, so let's unmute back and chant the bracha after. Ready? Go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah. Asher kofech.
So it's good to thank you, Rabbi. It's so good to hear your voices, and I know we're not together, but that's not the point. Okay, so very good. So let's move on, and just to point out, this parsha has 4 themes, and as you can see, Jewish attitude and practice in the time of death, paying the full price for what we acquire, and beauty and the meaning of love. So I decided that to concentrate on 3 and 4 because we can't cover all of it. So I thought beauty and meaning of love would be fun to study. So here we are told that Abraham sends his servant to pick a wife for his son, right? Very difficult task. So this is just a Torah text and translation. So we can understand a little bit more in depth. As we go through, please pay attention on the highlighted parts, just to make sure, it has a lot of meaning. Could somebody start reading? I have Susan Itkin on my screen. Just make sure you're on.
Sure, yeah. And the servant said, O Lord, God of my master Abraham, grant me good fortune this day, and deal graciously with my master Abraham. Here I stand by the spring as the daughters of the townsmen come out to draw water. Let the maiden to whom I say, please lower your jar that I may drink, and who replies, drink, and I will also water your camels. Let her be the one whom you have decreed to your servant Isaac. Thereby shall I know that you have dealt graciously with my master. He had scarcely finished speaking when Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother Nohar, came out with her jar on her shoulder. The maiden was very beautiful, a virgin whom no man had known. She went down to the spring, filled her jar, and came up. The servant ran toward her and said, please let me sip a little water from your jar. Drink, my lord, she said, and she quickly lowered her jar upon her hand and let him drink. When she had let him drink his fill, she said, I will also draw for your camels until they finish drinking. Quickly emptying her jar into the trough, she ran back to the well to draw, and she drew for all his camels. The man, meanwhile, stood gazing at her, silently wondering whether the Lord had made his errand successful or not.
Okay, thank you. That's beautiful. So let's go back a little bit. We have a few things that's going on. First, we have a servant, right, who has a difficult task. So I just want to hear your thoughts about what the servant is wishing for. What is his wish?
To find a generous woman, gracious and generous, and I guess of spirit.
Yeah, I'm just always like, wondering that the Torah that he's not dreaming about like beautiful, blonde hair, dark hair, tall, thin. It's interesting, right? That he's dreaming about, a good person. I mean, this is, so why is that? Why is it important? Shell, I can't hear you.
He's going to bring her back to a house of strangers. She doesn't know anyone. I'm not even sure she speaks the same language. But he wants a person that will fit in with the family, that will love Isaac, and that will be a good wife and have many children so that they can grow.
Good, I love it. I love the explanation. Anybody else have any comments? Why appearance here, it seems like doesn't matter.
No?
Well, it's inner beauty, I guess. The emphasis is on that. And as you said, not on her physical characteristics, but on her spirit, on her generosity and openness. She's open. I thought, yeah, Shelley, I think you had a really good point.
It's like, the expression, don't judge by the first look. Is that the expression in English? Don't judge by the... So,
don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. We have same in Russian, but it's translated differently. Yeah, so this goes against that, right? Like, don't... People usually judge like how people dress and how they look and how beautiful they are, not beautiful. They don't always look inside of you. They only judge you on the surface. So this is a good lesson, to look inside the person.
Do you
soul.
think that she spoke the same language?
In the Torah, it doesn't imply, but she speaks. There is a dialogue. There is a dialogue later on. So I assume, or maybe it just spoke, like I first spoke when I came to the United States, with hands and everything. There is no implication what language they speak. She lived in faraway land, that's for sure. So she might be speaking different language. So, and then look, so we're going down, and it seems like that, what's happened then? The servant, dream is fulfilled, right? Rebecca's coming out. And it's very interesting. It says in Hebrew, you see, I'm pointing here, Tovat Mareh. You see Tovat Mareh? Can you see? I'm just gonna highlight. See, it says Tovat Mareh. Everybody see it? Okay.
Yes.
So the translation in English is not accurate. It said very beautiful. Very beautiful. In Hebrew, very beautiful is Yafa me'od. Yafa means physically, like beautiful. Yafa me'od means like very. So very beautiful. So here you have Tovat Mareh. Tova means good. Mareh, like looking. But Tova could imply to also the inner beauty, right? So I don't think this translation is very accurate. So she had the Tovat Mareh could be applied Tovat, could be applied to the beauty inside, inner beauty. So, so pay attention to the description of a woman. Can somebody?
The fact that she was a virgin was very important. Charlie?
Yeah. And, Cantor, to your point about the root, the second word, it's how somebody seems, not just, right, like when the word in contemporary Hebrew is nireh, right? It can either be how someone looks or how they seem, which is like, how they are, which is interesting. Let her seem good, right? Let her not only look good, but seem good, which is, I had never noticed that before. It's very interesting.
Yeah, mare, like Rabbi said, mare comes from the root lirot. In Hebrew means to see. So maybe to make a good impression, right? Like she has a good impression, something like that. It's more like a good impression than very beautiful. But it's interesting that the Torah doesn't give any other description, right? It doesn't say she had dark hair, or she was blonde, she had rosy cheeks, or she was tall or skinny, or, plump. It doesn't say anything, right? So why is that? It just has two words, that she was Tovat Mareh. Why?
They knew what was important. Whoever wrote this. And life, she was going to be the wife of the leader of the people. And just looking good wasn't going to be enough. Life is hard. There's a lot in front of her.
Right. Anybody else wants to say something? Marie, John, Bernice, Jackie, Liz. I'm going through my list. Anybody else? Unmute yourself. Why Torah does not describe any other, features of Rebecca? Just saying that she's, very beautiful.
The fact that she was a virgin was of absolute importance.
Mm-hmm.
A woman that had been with a man was, if she was single, that's no good. I don't know how. So the fact that she came to him as a young woman who was a virgin was a very important thing.
Mm-hmm. I also think that maybe the Torah does not want to detract our attention to describe how beautiful she was, her hair and her complexion, her rosy cheeks. The Torah wanted us to focus on her inner beauty. That's just, my impression. Okay, so let's move on. So what's happened then? Look at how she acts. What does she do? When a servant
she uses the honorific, my Lord, and it speaks to her own humility, I guess, if she didn't know if he was the Lord.
Right.
I assume that's a greeting of respect.
Mm-hmm.
And she acted without hesitation.
Right. She's so quick, right? Like, so she can wait to please him, and even though he's a stranger. And I think she's brave. Go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, Rochelle, you're muted again.
I think that's unusual, that most people hesitate before they, before it was her. Well, I think that maybe she knew. I know it doesn't say this, but I think that maybe she knew that something was going to happen to her, something important. And that as a young woman who, we don't know exactly how old she is, but as a young woman, she was ready. She was ready to go forward and become part of another community. I think she was a very brave young woman, and that's why she was able to answer him, maybe.
That's true. A risk taker.
That's true, but I also think it's more of her honoring and being respectful of anybody who comes. By saying, my Lord, it's showing respect. And that's the kind of person she seems to be.
The messenger, wasn't he had been finished a long journey, so we can assume that he was like covered in dust and tired, and he hadn't shaved. He probably looked like a bum, and she still treated him
Respect.
with respect and kindness and
And the animals, as right, the camel as well, right? They speak to her kindness that she didn't just quickly, lower the vessel for him to drink, but also for the camel, right? Like that they speak to, the rabbis point to her clearer kindness because she took time, right? If she was trying to impress a suitor, right, then maybe she would do, they would speak more about her beauty, or she would do something that would be more overtly provocative, right, to try to win this bow. But the sages point to her kindness, that she draws water for the camels as well.
she's probably dusty too.
Yeah, right.
Wearing her work clothes.
Very interesting also. Anybody else who wants to add something?
I'm just thinking about Abraham welcoming the strangers.
Yeah, that's in the last Torah portion, right?
Yes, I think that this is a part of that.
Yeah,
It's all
hospitality.
of the story.
Right, to offer hospitality. This is just like some text. If anybody wants to, Jackie, would you like to read this text?
Rebecca deliberately planned her kindness to the servant. First, she provided him with water. Then she ran to get water for his animals. In doing so, she prevented the servant from feeling that he needed to help her.
So what does it mean?
To me, it's still the generosity of spirit and wanting to take care of others and leaving herself aside. That she's making hospitality most important. She's making other people most important.
Right, and she also didn't want him to get up and
exactly.
water.
Right. She wants him to rest. Again, looking out for his benefit rather than her own.
Right. So this is also very interesting. So very interesting text. Maybe Shelley, would you like to read? Or
Sure.
anybody, John or Susan?
She's
Yeah. Oh, going?
Yeah, John?
She stopped the servant from drinking too much because one must be careful not to have too much cold water after being in the heat and sun. But in order to prevent him from thinking that she did not want him to have enough water to drink, she told him, "I will draw water for your camels until they finish drinking." In that way, the servant knew that she was not selfishly holding back water from either him or his animals.
Does it make sense?
Sure.
What does it tell you? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Me? She, I think it's saying she wanted to stop him from drinking for his own good, but didn't want him to think she was stopping him for reasons of just withdrawing.
So she had like a great intuition, right? Also, like I guess, what would you say? What about her like feature of her character? Very sensitive to other people, right? Very sensitive and intuitive, right?
Yes, intuitive. Yeah.
Intuitive. I don't know. Do we have time to just go a little bit to what Torah talks about love, or are we?
Sure.
Okay. Can somebody read this, please? Jackie or anybody? Liz? John?
What does the Torah mean by love? The servant brought out objects of silver and gold and garments and gave them to Rebekah, and he gave presents to her brother and her mother. Then he and the men with him ate and drank, and they spent the night. When they arose the next morning, he said, give me leave to go to my master. But her brother and mother said, let the maiden remain with us some 10 days, then you may go. He said to them, do not delay me, now that the Lord has made my errand successful. Give me leave, and I may go to my master. And they said, let us call the girl and ask for her reply. They called Rebekah and said to her, will you go with this man? And she said, I will. So they sent off their sister Rebecca and her nurse along with Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebecca and said to her, "O sister, may you grow into thousands of myriads. May your offspring seize the gates of their foes." Then Rebecca and her mother and her maids arose, mounted the camels, and followed the man. So the servant took Rebecca and went his way.
Okay, just a little more in that.
Isaac had come back to the vicinity of Beer Lahai Roi, for he was settled in the region of the Negev. And Isaac went out walking in the field toward evening, and looking up, he saw camels approaching. Raising her eyes, Rebecca saw Isaac. She alighted from the camel and said to the servant, "Who is that man walking in the field toward us?" And the servant said, "That is my master." So she took her veil and covered herself. The servant told Isaac all the things he had done. Isaac then brought her into the tent of his mother, Sarah, and he took Rebekah as his wife. Isaac loved her and thus found comfort after his mother's death.
Thank you. Okay, so from the beginning of this, description, we learn that. What do we learn about the family of Rebecca? What do we learn?
I didn't hear you.
What do we learn about Rebecca's family, like her mother and her father? What did we learn?
That they were concerned about her.
Right? So they didn't want to let her go. They were asking for extension, 10 days extension, right? And the servant didn't want to postpone. And then the father, just very interesting that the father asked her, the girl, let's ask her. I think it's very unusual. What do you think? Rochelle, you muted. Okay, anybody else? Go ahead.
I think it was a well-to-do family. Rebecca had servants as well as the rest of her family, and I think that they valued Rebecca. Well, women were in some way valued because they were seen as ways of bringing more honor to a family, more cattle and sheep and whatever to a family. And I think that the fact that the servant brought gold and beautiful things for Rebecca was also important. So it was a two-way street, but they didn't want Rebecca to just go off. They wanted to keep her, but he said he had to, this was a good deal. And they had made a good shidduch, and that they should take her. That they should take her. He should take her home to his master. And the fact that Rebecca put on a veil when she was told that it was Isaac is very important, because she wanted to be humble. She wanted to appear. Not only appear, but she was a very respectful person. And so before the marriage, she had to remain.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I can't think of the word right now, but she wasn't a hussy. She was a very fine young lady, woman.
Modest. She was modest. That's why the brides, cover the veil for the modesty. It's niyut.
I couldn't think of it.
So I mean, there are other reasons why they cover this veil, but this is one of the reasons. It's niyut, modesty. So I also let's just I'm sorry that we're skipping because we're out of time almost, but look at the last sentence. It's just very interesting order. That before, right, you could see that Isaac was wandering in the fields. Okay, he was walking in the fields like at night. What does it tell you? What does it tell you when he walks in the field and he's wandering and dark? Like, what do you think?
I think he was making a connection with God. I think that, you know, when we walk in a wooded area, or we're out in nature, we relate to God. And I think he was relating to God and wondering, would this be a good fit for him? Would he think about raising a family? He had many questions about what would be his future. And
The thing that comes to mind for me is that he's in mourning for his mother.
Yes.
it's
Yes.
true.
Yeah, a lot of Torah scholars talked about that he was very lonely and missed his mom. Yes, Marie.
And it's
So-
interesting that he brought her to his mother's tent.
Right.
You
It's a
know,
good point. Yes. And it seems like it's a very interesting order. First, he took her as a wife, like first he married her and then he loved her, right? So what does it tell you? Like first
I
he
think-
married her and then he loved her. Liz or anybody else want to participate? Or Susan? Yeah, unmute.
I just thought that he married her and then he loved her. So
Mhm.
he didn't necessarily love her before he married her, but it grew. And
No.
I think if you're, yeah, well, we don't always approach it that way in modern day.
Right. Or some Torah scholars can argue and they say that it was love at first sight, that they saw each other and boom, that's it. Anybody else any comments like about the order? Like first he married her, then he loved her, and then she comforted him. So this order, interesting order. And also including that it was a status tent, as Shelley pointed out. Liz, you want to say something? You're muted.
Just listening right now.
Okay. I think that's true. I think that, as I said, I think it's true of many Middle Eastern marriages, that the parents got together and decided about their children, gave them the right of refusal. But I think relationships grow and your love grows. It might have been love at first sight and realizing she was a beautiful woman, but learning her attributes and growing together as a couple, as a family. I think that that was important to him. I think that's basically important to all of us.
Right.
The love at first sight is the first thing to go, I mean, eventually the honeymoon is over. And once the honeymoon's over, you better, if there isn't more there, you're in for a rough ride. So
Yeah.
Now I have something to say.
Okay, Liz.
The research shows that these arranged marriages are actually very good because the parents really do have a good read on their kids.
Yes.
They tend to work
Yes.
out very, very well.
Yeah, well, that's why how it works in Orthodox families, right? You have to submit your resume to the parents of each other, and then the parents basically decide who is right. And it's not always love at the beginning, but then people used to, learn to compromise and comfort each other and support, and that's what Rebecca did. So this is just another Hirsch by Hirsch. Love is blind. We're just gonna read this, and then I guess we'll finish because we are running out of time. Anybody wants to just read this? Jackie?
You want me to read it again? Okay. I have to also say, as we were talking about love growing, I was thinking about Fiddler on the Roof and how the part of the song goes, you'll learn to love each other. And then
Yeah.
how it goes along with that
Yeah.
sentence.
Do you love me? Right?
Exactly.
Do
I
you
was
love
going to
me?
sing it. Um,
Yeah, I do laundry for you, I cook for you, raise your children. I love you.
Exactly. A mere glance into the novels of true life teaches us the vast difference between love before marriage and after. Such love before is blind, and therefore every step into the future leads to new disappointments. Jewish marriage, however, is described here as follows. He married Rebecca and he loved her. The wedding is not the summit, but only the seed of future love.
So with that in mind, we'll stop. Well, thanks for the fruitful discussion. We could go on and on. I'm sure we have stories to share, but we'll continue and maybe continue some other time. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yasher Kochach.
Tada. So we'll go back to the.
So much to think about when we turn to our biblical characters and understanding how their initial relationships really end up being the strongest branches, for our family tree, and how they all started is quite fascinating. Thank you, Cantor Braun.
A pleasure. Enjoy.
We go now, I think, to our concluding prayers. Yes, we'll turn to the Elenu. We'll invite you, please, in the best way possible, body or in spirit, to rise as we continue.
Hallelujah, Shabbat, Ladon, Hakon, Latergel, Laliotzer, Breshit, Shelosan, Giharatzot, Velosaman, Ishbeot, Hadama, Shelosan, Melgirgahem, Vegoralina, Hamanam, Vanakno Korim, Unishtahavim, Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar v'chaya Adonai, L'melech ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
We turn our thoughts now to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days and those who died at this season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Today, this Shabbat we are in the period of Shloshim, the last 30 days of loss and of mourning for Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, for Lila Berg, member of our mother, Michael Berg, for Dennis Dreyer, father of Rebecca Dreyer, Zarina Walitsky, mother of Laura Walitsky, Jacob Handelman, brother of Alan Handelman, Hope Mann, mother of BJ Mann, and Moisey Rabinovich, father of Joseph Rabinovich. This marks a yahrzeit, an anniversary of passing for Samuel Agans, Ernest Brownell Jr., Frederick Deutscher, Zelda Druce, James Eichner, Diane Epstein, Solomon Gold, Joseph Groden, Samuel Gross, Yuda Gurovic, Stanley Handelman, Ida Harf, Evan Light, Gladys Less, Charles Leston, Willard R. Lisson, Toby Loeb, Clifford Lovenheim, Melvin Neisner, Samuel N. Pollan, Ethel Rosen, Zachar Schwartzman, Saul Skirker, and Ann Slowetsky. If there are other names that you would add to either list, please, or names that are better spoken aloud by you, please unmute yourself, share those names aloud with us, and let us remember them as well. Zichronam livracha, for all those whose memories are a blessing, and we continue together with the Mourners Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shmei Rabbah, Be'almadi v'rachirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei olmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'richu la'ila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav huya aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace, the one who creates harmony on high, bring peace to us, to all who mourn, to all Israel, as we join together in saying amen. And please be seated. Please be seated. Some announcements to share with you this morning. We continue with religious school. I'm looking around. I think maybe John, you're the only one who's got somebody in religious school right now, and Canterbury, right? And I do as well, right? Yeah. And we're hopeful, right? Somebody said something about wind tomorrow morning. We're hopeful that everybody's power stays. So charge everything up later tonight. There's, I guess, some big winds expected, but we're hardy in Rochester, so we will weather that. And then at 5 o'clock, there is a discussion about temples, different initiatives that we might spearhead for our teens. Tuesday, November 17th, there's the Social Action book discussion. Social Action is doing some wonderful, wonderful work around anti-racism. Please look at our website for that as well. A week from this morning, we have our next bat mitzvah as Lizzie Bissonette becomes a bat mitzvah. Her parents are Melissa and Vince, and that is at 10:30, preceded by Torah study at 9:15, where we will continue our studies of Breshit, of Genesis. As I mentioned last night, for those who can't wait for your pie pickup, your Thanksgiving pie pickup from Habitat for Humanity, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, that will be at 4 p.m. at Temple. You can also find some information on our website about some of our closures around that time. Please, also two other initiatives for you to know about. One is the clothing drive for School 45, the school that Temple Sinai supports so beautifully for so very many years. And they are looking for new items for pre-K through 8th grade until November 20th. In particular, they need children's masks, properly sized masks, gloves, socks, and underwear. Around sizes 4 to 8 is what they're looking for. You can contact the office for where best to drop that. Apropos, by the way, of this season and need, also the Brighton Food Cupboard is in need, as is always the case. Please look and see what they could best use right now. And join us for our annual Interfaith Thanksgiving service on Thanksgiving morning at 11 o'clock. That will be on Zoom, and all of us are participating. Cantor Braun and Elon and I are participating, along with so many other interfaith clergy in town. Reverend Myra Brown will be delivering the message from Spiritus Christi, and she's been so involved with the anti-racism work this year as well. Always very powerful speaker. So we hope that you can join us for then. And Cantor Braun, I wonder if you could share a couple words about the Hanukkah Sing project.
Sana sings. We are hoping that you will record yourself only one song of Hanukkah, and all the information on the website. As soon as you open up our website, in the right side, you'll see Sinai Sings Hanukkah Project. There's a tutorial video, and if you're still challenged by that, I'm here for you and Lindsay, and I would love everybody to participate. So everybody on this screen has a good voice, so there is no reason for you not to record. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be many voices, and hopefully anybody already recorded? No hands.
I think I will.
Okay, yeah, please do. Please allow. Please, I will appreciate, and it's a good promotion of our temple in the community. And please allow Rizzo to compile the voices. So the due date is November 20th. The deadline, not the due date. I mean, yeah, deadline is November 20th. So please record. Liz, are you planning to record? I can't hear.
You're muted.
I'm thinking about it.
Well, talk to me, okay? John, you can record all your family, okay? In one screen or two screens. And Jackie and Rochelle, please. Alan Goldenberg, of course. And Marie Palat already recorded. Thank you, Marie.
Marie and Jeremy have kids who sing too. I wonder if they're interested in participating. I'm thinking about.
I don't know what I'm gonna have to do to bribe them, but we'll see.
I was just going to ask you when you figure it out to please let me know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
Anyway, it's such a wonderful opportunity to hear and feel everybody's voices. So please, if you're comfortable or even willing to take the stretch, please join us as we sing. Let's continue as we conclude and turn to our very final prayers and invite you please to join us.
So we have a kiddush. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. And the challah, I should change this challah. It's getting stale, right, Rabbi? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Okay, b'tavon. Hopefully everybody has a good lunch. So we'll conclude with the song Lo Lecha, which is, it's not your duty to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. So please join me. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We will unmute you so that you can wish each other Shabbat Shalom as well. We wish you good health, good peace today, and rest and renewal as best you need it. And we're always delighted to have Shabbat continue with you. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
You are
Shalom.
unmuted if
Shalom,
you choose.
everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Happy Thanksgiving to all of you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Rabbi and Cantor.
Thank you.
Thank you. We cannot do without you.
Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.